Okay, before I get going, I'm going to apologize in advance. I just woke up. My voice is kind of croaky. I'm pretty tired. I stayed up late last night. I decided to just do a quick video on my shoe collection. Currently, I've outgrown a lot, so I only have 3 basketball shoes right now. And I guess I'll just begin. First, I have the Nike Zoom Soldier 6, black with neon orange and gray. And with each shoe, I'm going to give a basic review on how the traction was, the overall fit, and the cushioning, because I think those are the 3 most important aspects of a shoe. On these, the traction was outstanding, probably the best traction I've ever, well, I've ever, not ever seen, but ever played in. Um, it's kind of herringbone. I don't know if you would call that herringbone or not, but whatever you would call it, it's great. And I'd give it a 9.5 or if not 10 out of 10. Also, the cushioning. This shoe is just great because the cushioning was phenomenal too. I think the cushioning wasn't as out of the ordinary as the traction was, but I'd say the cushioning was an 8.5 to 9 out of 10 in these because they had Nike Zoom in the heel and the forefoot. I thought as like the rest of the shoe went for the fit, it was really good and it felt good. And the strap definitely locked you in, so that's always good. Next, I have the underrated Hyperfuse 2012. And the reason I call this underrated is because it's always been, well, up until the past few years, it's been in the shadow of the Hyperdunk. They're, I know they're both Nikes, but they're both kind of in the same category, and you don't see very many people wearing these anymore. You used to, just as many as you'd see Hyperdunks, maybe even more. Now, pretty much mainly high school teams and stuff are going with Hyperdunks instead of Hyperfuse, but I think it's pretty darn great. The the cushioning, they have a really good insole in here that's really cushy, and it's hard to explain. You have to feel it yourself. It's kind of one of those things. But if you're ever at a store, I know these are kind of old, but just feel it, and it's really weird because it's out of the ordinary good. And I know they only have Zoom in the forefoot. They say it's kind of a mix, but some people think they have it in the heel. Some people don't. I really don't know. Most reviewers say no. Nike.com says yes. So that's really unknown unless you want to take it apart, which I don't think is worth it. But cushioning's good. And traction, I wouldn't say it's outstandingly out of the ordinary like the Soldier 6. It's basically just herringbone full length with some flex grooves and this weird thing in the heel, I guess, or impact. I don't think it does anything. I think it's kind of a gimmick, but sometimes you have to do that when it's just plain herringbone. They probably wanted to spice it up a little. As far as the fit goes, that's the one thing that was lacking in this shoe because the first few games it feels really weird and like a brick because the tongue, they have this weird material in there. Like foam, literally foam that's hard in the tongue, and once you, it's going to sound, well, once you start getting heated up and playing more and you're starting to sweat, this thing, the tongue, it starts to soften up a bit and you don't notice it as much, but it's still really unorthodox in terms of basketball shoes. Next, last but not least, my newest addition, I have the KD5. Um, I haven't played in this that much yet because it's pretty new. I know the KD6 just came out. That's why I wanted to get this because I was waiting for the KD6 because I like this, but I didn't want to get it right when the KD6 was new. But I don't play in lows, so I went ahead and grabbed these because these are the last colorway available. And as far as traction, I think it's in his shoes. They always have a random weird storytelling traction with all this stuff at the bottom, like saying like representations of his scoring titles and stuff inside the traction. And personally, I don't think it's the best. I don't think it's the worst. I wouldn't run away from this shoe for it, and I wouldn't want to get this shoe if I was only looking for traction. But I think if you're just kind of so-so, you don't really care in the traction department, and you want something at least decent to hold up, this is just fine. I wouldn't call it the best, though. As far as cushioning, I really prefer the Hyperfuse and the Zoom Soldier 6 because for some reason the insole in here is kind of stiff and not as plush, or I don't know what the word, but and they went with Zoom in the forefoot and Nike Air in the heel, Air Max. I think it's just fine. I'm not the biggest fan though. And then the fit, that's where this shoe is phenomenal because it's a 1-to-1 fit on your foot. There's almost no dead space with the toe being so thin. And the heel lockdown is, you'd think it's a red flag when it's only foam, but no, it's just as good. It serves its purpose. And you have good cushion on the collar, and it looks pretty nice. And that's pretty much it for the Nike Zoom KD5. If some of y'all have seen my other videos, my first video I did an on-feet sort of performance test with the Nike Zoom Hyperdunk 2012. I just have not had the time to do something that big because it takes a lot of work. It's not that much, but I'm a busy person, and I just haven't had the time. So if you'd like me to do one on one of these shoes, take them to the gym and work out in them and show some moves or whatnot, just put a thumbs up, and in the comment section say which shoe you'd like for me to do it on feet and play in, and I will, if I get enough responses, I'll be happy to do an on feet in any of these shoes.